Swayam Prabha. Digital India. Educated India.
Hello, dear students. I am Dr. Mona Semalti from HNB Garhwal University, Srinagar, Garhwal. So, dear students, today in this GMP part 2, we are going to discuss about the remaining guidelines regarding the raw material, equipment, documentation record, quality assurance, self-inspection and quality audit, as well as regarding master formula record. So dear students, good manufacturing practices for premises and material, the broad same heading. Under this heading only we discuss the about persons, location, production area, quality control area. Okay, in module 1, that is GMP part 1, and in this regarding raw material, the licensee shall keep an inventory of all raw material. Inventory means the complete documentation, or you can say the record of raw material which is being used, which is to be used, okay, and whatever the uh, things related to raw material, okay. So these records should be maintained as per schedule U, okay. So all incoming material shall be quarantined immediately before receipt of processing, okay. All material shall be stored under the appropriate condition. All material shall be stored under the appropriate condition. Appropriate, there should be complete segregation should be there, and stock rotation, that first in, first expiry, first out, okay. So it should be followed as to avoid any confusion, as to avoid any wastage, or as to avoid any misdealing with the raw material which has entered in the manufacturing area. All incoming material shall be purchased from the approved sources. Number 1 should be approved sources. Should be purchased from under the valid purchase voucher, and there shall be adequate separate area for materials under the test, approved and rejected, okay. So there should be different categories for each, okay, under the test, approved and rejected, with arrangements and equipment to allow dry, clean and orderly placement of stored material and products. Only raw material which have been released by quality control department and which are within their shelf life shall be used. It shall be ensured that the shelf life of formulation product shall not exceed with that of active raw material used, okay. Next is about equipment, okay. Now equipment shall be located, designed, constructed, adapted and maintained to suit the operations to be carried out. The layout and the design of equipment shall aim to minimize the risk of error, permits the effective cleaning and maintenance, okay. The part of production equipment that come into the contact with the product shall not be reactive, additive or adsorptive to an extent that would affect the quality of product. That means equipment. We are talking about the equipment which is used in the manufacturing process. Balances. and other measuring equipment of an appropriate range, accuracy, precision shall be available for the raw material storage, production and in-process quality operations, and these shall be calibrated and checked on scheduled basis in accordance with the standard operating procedures, and records should be maintained. That means the balance which we are using, the balance for measuring, okay, there should be a routine calibration schedule should be fixed for them, okay, and that it should be calibrated routinely, and their record should be maintained as to, and this is as per the SOPs, and the record should be maintained for any clarification or for any, because these records are always needed at the time of inspection, that how you are measuring, how you are basically monitoring and maintaining your equipment. Okay, defective equipment shall be removed from the production and quality control area and should be appropriately labeled. Next is documentation and records. So this is very important. Without documentation, records and labeling and their follow-ups, nothing is possible in any manufacturing company, okay, any manufacturing area. So document shall be approved, signed, dated by appropriate authorized person. So this is important. Documents shall specify the title, nature and its purpose, okay. So they shall be laid out in a orderly fashion, and be easy to check. Okay. The records shall be made or completed at the time of each operation in such a way that all the assignments activity concerning the manufacturing of pharmaceutical products are easily traceable. That means it should be labeled, and the label should be recorded in such a manner that any person who has not dealt with the manufacturing process in last few days can also able to trace it. Okay, data may be recorded by the electronic data processing system or other reliable means, but master formula and detailed operating procedure relating to the system in use shall be available in a hard copy to facilitate the checking of accuracy of record. Labels and other printed materials. So now what are the requirements as per GMP regarding the label and other printed materials? So all containers and equipment shall bear the appropriate labels. Okay, this all we know very well. So different color coded labels shall be used to indicate the status of a product. For example, under test, approved, passed, rejected. Okay, to avoid the chance mix up of printed packaging material, product leaflet relating to the different product shall be stored separately. So there should not be any kind of confusion. Uh, Prior to release, all labels for containers, cartoons and in boxes and all circulars, insects and leaflets shall be examined by quality control department and licensee. Okay, prior to packaging and labeling of a given batch of a drug, it shall be ensured by the licensee that the samples are drawn from the bulk and duly tested, approved and released by quality control persons only. Records of receipts of all labeling and packaging material shall be maintained for each shipment received, indicating the receipt, indicating the control reference number and whether accepted or rejected. Okay, so it should be very clear. The label or accompanying document of reference standard and reference culture shall indicate concentrations, lot number, its potency, date on which the container was first opened and storage conditions wherever appropriate. Next is quality assurance basically. So quality assurance, this is a very wide concept basically concerning all matters that individually or collectively influence the quality of a product. That means quality assurance. It is the totality of arrangements made with the object of ensuring that products are of quality required for their intended use. The system of quality assurance appropriate to the manufacturing of pharmaceutical products shall ensure what it should ensure. Basically, it should ensure that the product which is designed and developed in such a manner that takes accounts of the requirement of the GMP and other associate codes such as those for GLP and for GCP, good clinical practice as well as good laboratory practices. Adequate arrangement should be made for the manufacturing, supply and use of correct starting and packaging material. Okay, this is also very important. Now, adequate control on starting material, intermediate product and bulk product and other in-process control calibrations and validations are carried out. The pharmaceutical products are not released for sale or supplied before authorized person have certified that each production batch has been produced and controlled in accordance with the requirement of the label claim and any other provisions relevant to the production, control and release of pharmaceutical products. Next is quality assurance. So before this we discussed quality assurance. Now this is quality control. So quality control shall be concerned with the sampling, specification, testing. Okay, its documentation, release procedures which ensure that the necessary and relevant tests are actually carried out and that the material are not released for use nor product is released for sale or supply until their quality has been judged by and it is satisfactory. Okay, so this is the job of quality control department of each manufacturing unit. They also ensure that the area of the quality control laboratory may be divided into chemical, instrumentation, microbiological and biological testing. So this is the overall responsibility of quality control department to ensure that there are separate arrangements and facilities for the samples to be tested which is like of chemical, instrumentation, microbiological, biological testing. Okay, adequate area having the required storage condition shall be provided for keeping the reference material. Okay, so quality control department shall evaluate it, maintain and store the reference samples and each of the thing is documented. Okay, documented in electronic data as well as in the hard copy as well as in the soft copy also. Okay, so standard operating procedure shall be available for the sampling, how the sampling should be done, inspection, testing of raw material, intermediate bulk finish for bulk finished products and for packaging materials. Okay, so wherever it is necessary. Okay, next important point is that shall be authorized and dated specifications for all material, product, reagents and solvents including test for identity, content, purity and quality. Okay, no batch of the product shall be released for sale or supply until it has been certified by the authorized person that it is in accordance with the requirements of standards laid down. Uh, the next is reference written sample from each batch of products manufacturing shall be maintained in quantity which is the least twice the quantity of the product required to conduct all the tests. Okay, except the sterility and the pyrogens and bacteria endotoxin test performed on active material and the product manufactured. Okay, so the retained product shall be kept in its final pack or a simulated pack for a period of 3 months after the date of expiry. Next is quality control person shall have access to the production area for sampling and investigation as appropriate. The in charge of quality assurance shall investigate all the product complaints and records thereof shall be maintained. Next is all instruments shall be calibrated and testing procedure validated before these are adopted for routine testing. Periodical calibrations of instrument and validation of procedure shall be carried out too. Okay. Now each specification for raw material, intermediate, final product and packaging material shall be approved and maintained by the quality control department. So periodic revisions of the specifications shall be carried out whenever the changes are necessary. Okay, next is self-inspection and quality audit. What are the requirements related to the self-inspection and quality audits? Now, to evaluate the manufacturer's compliances with the GMP in all aspects of production and quality control. Okay, self-inspection shall be followed. Self-inspection, a procedure for self-inspection shall be documented indicating the self-inspection results, evaluation, conclusion and recommended corrective action and effective follow-up programs. Okay, the recommendations for corrective action shall be adopted. The team responsible for the self-inspection shall consist of persons who can evaluate and implement the GMP practices objectively. Okay, objectively, and all recommendations for corrective action shall be implemented. Next is the master formula record. So this is very important, that master formula record, its maintenance and how it is documented. Okay, there shall be a master formula record relating to the manufacturing procedures, okay, for each product and batch size to be manufactured. So there is a separate master formula record for each batch manufactured. Okay. So this shall be prepared and endorsed by the competent technical staff, right? Head of production and quality control. The master formula, it includes. So dear students, it may be asked in the examination as a short note. The recommendations and the guidelines of GMP for master formula record. So the name of the product together with the product reference code relating to its specification. This is very first thing to be mentioned. The patent or proprietary name of the product along with the generic name also. Okay, and the description of its dosage form, strength, composition, product and its batch size. Third is name, the quantity and the reference number of all starting material to be used. Okay, a statement of expected final yield with the acceptable, limit and relevant intermediate yields. Okay, wherever it is applicable. Okay, and the next is a statement of the processing location and the principal equipment used. Okay, the detailed stepwise procedure instructions and the time taken for each step. Master formula is something, a complete set of protocols basically which a manufacturer follows for the manufacturing of a particular dosage form. Okay, so as per that master formula record only they have to proceed basically. So next is the method or the reference of the method to be used for the preparing the clinical equipment, including cleaning, assembling, calibrating, sterilizing. Say for example, a small example if I give you for calibration, okay, and if it is mentioned that so and so equipment has to be calibrated, and if it is mentioned in the master formula record, so the each and every step to be followed in the calibration of that equipment is mentioned in the master formula record stepwise. Okay, so a small steps are also mentioned very clearly as to avoid any confusion. Okay, next is instructions for in-process quality control and its limits are also mentioned. That further, if any manufacturing chemist follows that step, he should have the limit that its product should lay down in this limit for the qualification. Okay. Next is the requirement of storage conditions of the product, including container, labeling, special storage conditions wherever it is applicable. Any special precautions to be observed must also be mentioned in the master formula, as well as packaging detail and their specimen label. Okay, specimen label means a standard label should be there. That each label should follow the description whichever is mentioned in the specimen label. Now next is a batch packaging record. So the next topic, it is a batch packaging record. A batch packaging record shall be kept for each batch. Okay, batch packaging record, as this name says. So for each batch it is to be recorded. It shall be based on the relevant part of the packaging instructions, and the method of preparation of such record shall be designed to avoid any transcription errors. Before any packaging operation begins, checks shall be made and recorded that the equipment and the workstations are clear of the previous product documents, material not required for the planned packaging operations, and that the equipment is clean and it is suitable for use. Batch processing record should be kept for each batch processed. Okay, batch processing record it is. Okay, it should be based on the relevant part of the currently approved manufacturing formula. Name, batch number, date, time of commencement of significant intermediate stages of and the completion of the product, identification of the operator who performed each significant step of the process, and wherever appropriate the name of any person who checked these operation is also mentioned in the batch processing record. The next important point in batch processing record is the batch number and the analytical control number, as well as the quantities of each starting material actually weighed. Okay, that means how the batch has processed. The record of in-process control of the initials of the persons carried out, okay, and the result which is obtained. The product yield obtained at the different uh, pertinent stages of manufacturing. Notes of special problem, including the details of signed authorization for any deviation from the manufacturing formula. Okay, if the manufacturing formula is deviated somehow, at what point it is deviated and what are the alternatives included, everything is mentioned. Approval by the person responsible for processing operations. Okay. Next is a site master file, a document describing the GMP related activities of manufacturer. Quality manual, okay, policies, standard operating procedures. Okay, now what are these terminologies? A global company document that describes a paragraph from the regulations or part of the regulations that the company is required to follow is called quality manual. Okay, similarly, SOP, standard operating procedure, step-by-step instructions for performing the operational task or activity. These are few terminologies which I am discussing here: batch record, test method, and logbooks. Batch records, these documents are typically used and completed by the manufacturing department. Batch record provides step-by-step instructions of the batch. Test method, these documents are typically used and completed by the quality control test method, quality control department. Logbooks are used for documenting the operation, maintenance, calibration of a piece of equipment. Okay. Uh, See, and holding and distribution. The good hold stage is where it is necessary to ensure that the goods remain in good condition. Okay, and not become harmed or damaged through incorrect or unsuitable storage conditions or bad handling. So all goods must be stored in a clean, neat, orderly way in conditions that will not affect its quality. Okay, that will not affect its quality or cause them to deteriorate it in any way. Okay, so it is necessary to make and keep a record of each order that is dispatched. Date of dispatch, customer's name, address, and quantity name, batch number, and expiry date of each of the product which is dispatched. Okay, all distribution record must be maintained for 3 years period after distribution process for any control number has been completed. Okay, complaints and adverse reactions. Okay, all complaints thereof concerning the product quality shall be carefully reviewed and recorded according to the written procedure. So, complaints shall be investigated, evaluated by the designated persons of the company, and records of investigations and remedial action taken thereof shall be maintained in complaint and adverse reactions. Okay, reports of serious adverse drug reaction are resulting from the use of a drug along with the comments and documents shall forthwith reported with the concerning licensing authority also. Okay, so there shall be a written procedure describing the action to be taken, recall to be made of the defective product. So, and qualification and validation. Okay, next is qualification and validation. So, what is qualification? It is an action of providing that any premises, system, and item of equipment work correctly and actually lead to the expected result. This is qualification. Validation. What is validation? Validation is a defined and establishing a documented evidence which provides a high degree of assurance that the planned process will consistently perform in accordance with the intended specified outcome. Okay, so this is a little qualification and validation should establish and it should provide a documentary evidence, okay, evidence of the premises and supporting utilities and equipment have been built and installed in compliance with their design specifications. Okay, product recall. A prompt and effective product recall system of defective product shall be devised for timely information for all concerned stock list, wholesalers, suppliers up to the retail level within the shortest period. So this is product recall. This is very important in case of any thing if it goes wrong. So immediately the product should be lifted from the market, from the wholesaler, retailer, and up to the retailer level. Okay, so design person should record the final report issued, including in conciliation between the delivered and the record quantity of the product. The effectiveness of the arrangement of the recall should be evaluated from the time to time, and the recall product shall be stored separately in a secured segregated area pending final decision on them. Okay. So dear students, these are the references and just go through from the references. Now let us summarize this module. So dear students, GMP part 2, we discussed the good manufacturing requirement for premises as well as material including raw material, equipment, documentation, records, quality control, master formula record and product recall, and what is the self-inspection and quality audit. So all these things we discuss. So dear students, just go through from this module and I hope that you will understand that what are the good manufacturing guidelines relating to this topics. So that's all for this module. Stay tuned for more videos and thank you so much for watching this video.